So start by getting yourself some textured silvery material, and then you want to fold it lengthwise so that you'll end up with 2 layers, and you want the top layer to be as long as from your shoulders to the floor, and then you want the bottom layer, so the top layer be as long as from your shoulders to the floor, and then you want the bottom layer to be a few feet longer because that's going to make the train in the back. You want the width to be a little more than the width of your shoulders, and then up on the fold you're just going to cut out a neck hole out of both layers. So just cut out a little divot for the neck hole, and then on just the top layer you're going to cut all the way down the center, starting at the neck hole and go all the way down. This is what you should have now. And so then cutting just the top layer again, you're going to enhance the neck hole, cutting it off at an angle to make it a little bit wider and deeper. Just like that. And then you'll take a long rectangle of your silver material, and you're just going to place it all the way around the neck hole, and then you'll just sew that all the way around the neck hole to make the collar. Just like that. And so then just the bottom layer, you're going to fold that in half lengthwise and cut it off at an angle, and that will give your train the rounded bottom. So then for the closure, take some sticky back velcro, put one piece on one side, and then just along the very edge put the other piece, and then just take a spare piece of silver material to cover up the sticky, so when you attach the two together they'll line up perfectly. I'll do that a couple places down, stopping at the waist. So then on the sides of the robe you're just going to leave the armholes open and sew down to about the waist, right down to where you put the velcro, and then you're just going to lay down on it and measure it, and you'll sew in at a rounded angle to match your waist so that it's a little more fitting. So you should have something like this now. There's the rounded edges, and then the sides are left open, and you're just going to cut some triangles of silver material to go in there, and that'll make the skirt part of the robe flare out a little more. So here's the triangle you want to cut. It's basically a right triangle, and the longer edge you'll sew against the longer edge, the back side of the robe, and then the shorter edge you'll sew against the front edge, the shorter side of the robe, and the bottom you'll just leave open. And for the arms, you'll cut kind of a rectangle with the wider end off at an angle, and then the smaller end tapering to the wrist, and that'll be double layered. So the upper edge is the fold, you want to sew that, and then you'll just sew the bottom edge together, and then you'll just sew the bigger edge to the shoulder hole on the robe, and then you'll cut the ends off at a point over the hand. And so then for the lines, it was actually piping, but I didn't really want to do all that piping, so I just took some puffy paint, and I'm just going to draw all of the piping lines on it. And the slower you go, the thicker your lines will be, and so they'll look more like piping. I have this in fast motion, so it's much faster than I'm actually doing it. But so here it is with all the puff paint piping on it. It's kind of hard to see on the camera, but it shows up pretty good in real life. It was just metallic silver puffy paint that I used. And I only did the front side because I couldn't tell if he had them on the back or not. And so then here is the finished costume. I'm sorry, my camera's a little high, you can't really see the bottom here. And his leggings were actually more gray, but I had a pair of black ones, so I just used those instead.